In general, beauty, contrary to what many women believe, is not found in the reflection in the mirror. Rather, it is hidden in that deep poise formed by the pain, rebirths, or losses that have quietly accumulated on our faces over the years. Of course, like all of us, human life has its ups and downs, and this leaves certain marks on our faces. However, what determines how those marks appear is not primarily our fate. It is how we own them, how we behave towards them. So while some women may be very fragile during their time, others, on the contrary, can become sharper, stronger, and deeper. Because they know that true elegance is not in screaming colors, exaggerated movements, or exhausting efforts. It is in the quiet courage of a spirit that accepts itself as it is and yet constantly strives to improve. In fact, this video was prepared to help you rebuild a much younger, firmer, and generally more beautiful version of yourself without surrendering to anything that the years have taken from you. On the contrary, by turning every habit into a source of strength. These habits will not only give you an aesthetic advantage, they will also give you inner confidence, a particularly outwardly visible authority, and a posture that no one can easily shake. Before we begin the first item in the video, I'd like to ask you for one small thing. Write, "I am reclaiming my light" in the comments. Because when you write this sentence, you will not only have made an intention, you will also have opened a psychological door to reclaiming yourself and thus taken the first step. If you like, let's start with the first item right away. 1. Drink 2 liters of water a day. As many of us know, drinking enough water throughout the day is one of the simplest yet most effective habits that kickstarts the cellular renewal mechanism, which naturally slows down as we age. Water ensures that the fibers and proteins in the deep layers of our skin tissue remain functional. However, our facial features also become more defined and much more vibrant as a result. Of course, many women think that the dullness on their face as they age is actually due to a lack of makeup, but most of the time, the problem is simply cell dehydration. So, when this biological thirst beneath our skin is quenched, it can be surprisingly motivating to see how the great injustice of the years is actually erased. In addition, drinking water does more than just create a glow on the skin. It also significantly affects and supports this fundamental pressure mechanism that maintains the natural fullness of our face. Furthermore, when cells have sufficient fluid, they swell up again, giving your face a much fresher, plumper form. This effect is particularly noticeable in the cheeks and around the mouth. Think about the areas that have lost volume over the years. With regular water consumption, they can achieve a much more balanced structure. Thus, it is possible to rejuvenate simply by respecting biological processes, without needing expensive cosmetic procedures. Looking at it from another angle, regular water consumption actually increases our blood circulation. This naturally improves our oxygen flow, allowing that subtle blush that makes our skin look much more vibrant to appear naturally. As you know, as we age, our veins work much slower, and this slowdown inevitably adds a layer of fatigue to our faces. Ultimately, drinking water gives women a small but powerful sense of discipline throughout the day. And this discipline, remember, makes all the other parts of the beauty routine much more achievable. Without realizing it, people who take care of themselves also increase their self-respect. By the way, only 1 in 5 people who watch my videos subscribe. This, of course, saddens me. If you click on the bottom right corner of the screen to change this, you will be doing me a huge favor and we will never lose touch. 2. Shaping eyebrows. Naturally. First of all, I want to say that preserving the natural shape of our eyebrows is a subtle but powerful detail that determines the overall aesthetic balance of our face. As our facial features become more refined over the years, our expressions begin to take on a much sharper appearance. For this reason, let's not forget that when we overpluck our eyebrows, they are essentially shaped artificially and can make our entire face look much older, tense, or even tired. A natural shape softens this harshness, helping your face look much fresher and more sincere. Especially after the age of 40, preserving the natural curve of the eyebrow leads to an incredible rejuvenation of our facial expression. Having eyebrows that are slightly fuller rather than artificially thin changes the perception of wrinkles around the eyes in a way. Fuller and generally more natural eyebrows reflect light much more evenly, making the fine lines around our eyes less noticeable. This optical rejuvenation effect creates a beauty advantage independent of makeup. Moreover, dermatologists say that over-plucked eyebrows become difficult to regrow over time, and the area becomes sparse. Preserving their natural shape is therefore not just aesthetic, it is a long-term beauty strategy. Furthermore, the natural shape of our eyebrows enhances the character of our face. The problem of lack of expression, familiar to many of us, often arises from over-plucking our eyebrows or giving them the wrong angle. However, a properly preserved eyebrow shape makes our eyes appear more open, our gaze much more lively, and our overall expression more attractive. This is one of the most important elements that should not be lost as we age. The power of our gaze truly becomes visible again with the natural eyebrow shape. There is also the fact that many women pluck their eyebrows frequently out of habit, developed over the years. As we age, this habit both weakens the hair follicles and unnecessarily hardens our facial features. Keeping the eyebrows a little more natural, on the other hand, gives our face a softness, elegance, and a real sense of balance. This naturalness also changes the impression a person gives to others. It creates a more calm, more confident, and generally timeless sense of beauty. 3. Use light perfume. Now, coming to the topic of using light perfume, which is one of the most important points, I must say that it is one of the quietest yet most lasting impressions a woman leaves on the world. Think about it this way. Just as strong scents fill the air in a room, light notes settle in the human mind. The scent memory is the system that creates the deepest records among the senses. As we age, strong perfumes react more harshly with skin chemistry. Light perfumes, on the other hand, create a more refined appearance, turning elegance into an invisible aura. For this reason in particular, wearing a light scent is considered one of the most subtle and meaningful signs of mature feminine beauty. There is also the fact that light perfumes create a personal signature effect because they harmonize with the person's natural skin scent. This effect is extremely valuable in the modern understanding of elegance because it is not the scent itself that matters, but the impression the scent leaves on a woman. A natural scent blend resonates lightly without overwhelming, disturbing, or imposing on the other person's perception. This increases the person's memorability in both social settings and special moments. Many people remember a woman years later by her perfume. That is the power of lightness. Of course, using light perfume creates a surprising effect even on facial expressions and overall appearance. Heavy perfumes can unknowingly create a harsh energy on a woman because strong scents even affect how behavior and body language are perceived. Light perfumes, on the other hand, support mature beauty by creating a softer, more fluid atmosphere around the person. This atmosphere allows for warmer glances, a more elegant posture, and a more confident gait. As many of us know, as we age, skin dryness increases, causing heavy perfumes to spread more sharply on the skin. This sharpness can distort the original note of the perfume, creating both an unpleasant and older perception. Light perfumes, on the other hand, are more compatible with the skin. They spread delicately, blending with the skin's own warmth over time to leave a more refined signature. This is one of the most powerful advantages women can have, even as the years pass, the timeless feeling created by the scent. 4. Being able to speak slowly and clearly. Essentially, consciously slowing down your speech instantly changes the posture a woman projects to the outside world. Because while fast speech is often associated with anxiety, insecurity, or seeking approval, speaking slowly and clearly is a powerful sign that a person is in control of their own thoughts. The life experience a woman gains as she ages only truly becomes visible when conveyed with this calm rhythm. The weight of words creates a deeper impact when the pace slows down, naturally compelling the other person to listen. This is one of the cornerstones of high-value perception. Of course, speaking clearly is not just about pronouncing words correctly. It is also about consciously conveying the clarity of thought to the other person. When a woman knows what she is saying and expresses it in a language free of unnecessary embellishments, a sense of authority arises naturally. This clarity has a much stronger impact, especially in mature age, because the listener intuitively senses the experience and intuition of the person opposite them. A slow, clean, and measured speaking style silently but firmly expresses a person's own value. There is a fact: slowing down the speed of speech also appears as an indicator of emotional control. Of course, fast speech is often an expression of momentary tension, impatience, or the need to explain. On the other hand, a woman who speaks slowly is a woman who has organized her emotions, cleared her mind, and chosen her words consciously. This atmosphere reduces the pressure on the other party and elevates communication to a more aesthetic level. Moreover, this conscious slowness is even reflected in facial expressions. Gestures soften, our facial expressions calm down, and the overall appearance becomes much more refined. In addition, speaking slowly and clearly significantly increases a person's impact in social settings. When a woman chooses her words carefully and speaks without haste in meetings, relationships, or daily life, what she says is taken more seriously. This is because the human brain associates calmness with power and haste with low control. Therefore, speaking slowly is not just an aesthetic choice, it is also a psychological advantage. The other party, faced with this calm rhythm, willingly softens their tone, listens carefully to the conversation, and attaches more value to the woman's words. Ultimately, speaking slowly and clearly is a way for women to protect their own value. Because valuable people do not rush their words, they choose each word carefully, knowingly, and deliver it at a controlled pace. This rhythm determines the energy a person brings to their life and environment. This is where the natural charm of mature women comes into play. They know what they say, they choose how they say it, and with this conscious slowness, they instill elegance in both themselves and the other person. Thus, speech becomes one of the invisible but most powerful areas of true beauty. 5. Preferring delicate jewelry in particular. As most of us know well, delicate jewelry is one of the most powerful details that quietly but decisively completes a woman's aesthetic stance. In particular, as age advances, facial features and overall silhouette become more refined, and accessories that complement this refinement naturally lean toward more elegant lines. While thick, flashy jewelry often distracts attention, delicate jewelry supports the overall look without overshadowing the woman's own beauty. This simplicity creates a modern yet timeless effect in the eyes of the beholder because delicacy is an aesthetic language that gains value with age. I should also mention that the lightness of a delicate necklace or a dainty bracelet adds a soft glow to the facial expression. This minimalism focuses rather than distracts the eye. The gaze is directed not at the jewelry itself, but at the woman wearing it. This natural transition created by delicate jewelry makes mature women's facial features more pronounced and their posture more balanced. In particular, an elegant necklace worn close to the neckline refines the neckline and gives the entire look a more youthful perspective. Furthermore, as we age, the center of gravity of beauty begins to shift from ostentation to simplicity. This is not merely an aesthetic preference, it is also a wisdom that comes with life experience. A woman no longer needs loud accessories to prove herself. On the contrary, those who are confident turn to the aesthetics of quiet power. Delicate jewelry is a symbol of this quiet power. Of course, it creates an atmosphere rather than drawing attention. It builds elegance rather than dazzling. Therefore, the delicacy of jewelry is, in fact, a gateway to the delicacy of character. The most explosive aspect of this is that delicate jewelry also provides a unique advantage in terms of blending with clothing. Chunky jewelry divides the outfit, breaks the line, and disrupts the balance, whereas delicate jewelry glides over the outfit like a brushstroke. This fluidity perfectly complements both simple clothing styles and more formal combinations. An elegant ring or minimal earrings enhance a woman's style without exaggeration. Thus, the viewer unconsciously perceives the woman as more stylish, younger, and more refined. Another important advantage of delicate jewelry is that it creates an extra area of light on a woman's face. A bright but small stone creates a subtle play of light around the face. This play makes the expression appear more vivid in photographs or in real life. Especially in older women, this subtle sparkle adds a soft freshness to the skin. In other words, jewelry is not just an accessory, it is an aesthetic light modifier. The finer it is, the more natural the glow it adds around the face. Ultimately, delicate jewelry offers women a unique signature minimalism. It creates a style that is understated yet impressive, free from exaggeration, allowing the wearer to tell her own story of elegance. This story sends a powerful message to the outside world. I don't try to look good. My presence is already powerful enough. Such a stance gains even more meaning with age. Delicate jewelry is a small but effective touch that enhances both a woman's beauty and character. 6. Establishing a quality sleep routine. First, I must point out that a quality sleep routine becomes one of the most powerful biological factors that determine beauty as we age. This is because during sleep, the body not only rests, it also repairs skin tissue cells, increases collagen production, and reorganizes the microcirculation that supports the face's natural volume. These renewal processes do not work at full capacity during the day. Therefore, the real transformation that allows a mature woman to look young takes place in the tranquility of the night. Therefore, sleep is undoubtedly the cheapest but most effective natural aesthetic procedure in any beauty routine. Unfortunately, insufficient sleep causes not only fatigue on the skin's surface, but also dullness, uneven tone, dark circles under the eyes, and a generally haggard appearance. When these effects become chronic over time, a woman appears older than she is. On the other hand, regular sleep helps relax the facial muscles and maintain the skin's moisture balance. Increased oxygen circulation throughout the night gives a natural vitality, especially to the cheek and forehead areas. Thus, even without makeup, the face carries a more harmonious and dynamic energy. Also, let's not forget that quality sleep is not only about duration, but also about rhythm. Falling asleep at the same time every night recalibrates the body's biological clock. This recalibration slows collagen loss by regulating hormone production. Cortisol levels drop, which reduces the stress load that accelerates aging. This regular rhythm is what allows mature women to wake up in the morning with a more lifted, brighter appearance instead of a droopy facial expression. There is also another factor. Quality sleep creates mental clarity, which is reflected in the facial expression. When a person is tired throughout the day, their eyebrows are lower, their facial expressions are harsher, and their overall appearance is more tense. On the other hand, a woman who has slept well carries a natural softness in both her posture and facial expressions. This softness is one of the most effective elements that enhances the elegance that comes with age. The skin works more in coordination with a rested mind. Thus, beauty gains not only physical but also spiritual integrity. In addition, a regular sleep pattern also maximizes the effectiveness of skincare products. During the night, the skin barrier becomes more permeable. Therefore, moisturizers, serums, and care oils penetrate much deeper layers. This reveals the true power of an anti-aging routine. In other words, quality sleep is not a cosmetic aid. It is a biological catalyst that makes all the effects of skincare visible. This effect is particularly noticeable in mature skin. 7. Make smiling a ritual. Here's a fact. Smiling is the most natural aesthetic touch that illuminates the face, and its effect grows even more with age. Because a mature woman's smile is not just about facial expressions, it carries the traces of life experiences, patience, elegance, and a deep character. Therefore, smiling gives the facial features warmth as well as youthfulness. Studies show that people who smile regularly are perceived as more energetic and healthier. In other words, the radiance that the skin loses over time is reshaped by the vitality created by smiling. Of course, making smiling a conscious ritual in daily life has positive effects on both the facial muscles and the brain's chemical balance. The muscles that work when smiling increase blood flow, which creates a natural vitality, especially in the cheek area. This slight blush is the most natural optical touch that creates a youthful effect on the skin. In other words, smiling is not makeup applied to the skin from the outside. It is a real glow that rises from within. I should also mention that a smiling face not only looks physically younger, but also radiates a powerful energy to those around it. The human brain codes a smiling face as more trustworthy, more attractive, and more approachable. This perception is twice as effective for mature women because when combined with the seriousness that comes with age, a smile creates an aura of both elegance and authority. Of course, this balance is not easily achieved by young women. It develops over time, and smiling makes this development visible. Furthermore, the psychological effect of smiling is at least as powerful as its physical effect. In people who smile regularly, the stress hormone cortisol decreases, serotonin increases, and tension in facial expressions noticeably decreases. This inner relaxation is also reflected in the facial muscles. The eyebrows are less furrowed, and the lines around the mouth appear softer. Especially in older age, this softening effect, created by smiling, makes the face appear younger and more peaceful. The most striking aspect of this phenomenon is that making smiling a ritual also transforms a person's social life. A woman who smiles stands out in her environment but never appears dominant. She attracts attention but does not cause discomfort. This balance is one of the critical components of high self-worth. People feel more comfortable around smiling faces. This helps women leave a more attractive impression in both their social relationships and professional environments. Ultimately, smiling is also a reflection of a woman's inner strength. Being able to smile despite life's challenges is a sign of a mature, grown-up character who has found their center. Therefore, a smiling face is not just aesthetic, it is a reflection of the light within the soul. As we age, this light becomes more pronounced, more meaningful, and more impressive. Smiling emerges as one of the most powerful rituals that carries both a woman's beauty and the weight of her presence with elegance. 8. Slightly pull your shoulders back. Slightly pulling your shoulders back, a practice that many of us neglect, is a simple but impressive habit that instantly transforms a woman's posture as she ages. Body posture is not just a physical stance, it is also a powerful message to the outside world. Slumped shoulders make a person look more tired, older, and more exhausted than they are, while shoulders pulled back slightly reveal the graceful lines of a woman's body. This small movement creates a frame that makes the neck appear longer, the chest more open, and the face more confident. Of course, there is also this situation. As mature women age, their back muscles weaken, causing their shoulders to naturally tend to slump forward. This droop even affects facial expression. The jawline appears buried, the neckline seems shorter, and the overall appearance creates a sense of closure. Slightly pulling the shoulders back reverses this closure, restoring the body's natural openness. This openness is one of the most natural ways to rejuvenate posture. In fact, it is often more effective than makeup or stylish clothing. Furthermore, positioning the shoulders correctly not only improves aesthetic appearance, but also enhances breathing quality and energy levels. A body that is closed forward restricts lung capacity and narrows breathing. Pulling the shoulders back, however, expands the rib cage and increases oxygen flow. This increase both revitalizes the complexion and adds vitality to the overall expression. In other words, keeping the shoulders open is not just about looking beautiful. It is a biological advantage that strengthens the body's internal rhythm. Now, looking at it from a different angle, this posture habit also provides a psychological advantage. A woman with good posture unconsciously speaks with more confidence, walks more decisively, and becomes more visible in her environment. The human brain automatically associates upright posture with power. Therefore, pulling the shoulders back directly contributes to women creating a more effective perception in social settings. This effect is even more pronounced in mature women, because when posture is combined with the wisdom and confidence that comes with age, it becomes a powerful signature. Of course, slightly pulling the shoulders back also positively affects how clothes fit on the body. Opening up the back makes the shoulder line of dresses and blouses more visible. Arm cuts gain a more elegant look. This makes the upper body appear slimmer, more balanced, and younger. Similarly, good posture elongates the neck area, which contributes to the more aesthetic appearance of necklaces or earrings. In short, posture aesthetics directly enhances the overall style. 9. Create a minimalist makeup routine. I can definitely say that minimalist makeup is one of the most strategic aesthetic approaches that enhances beauty as you age. This is because a mature woman's face already has a natural character, depth, and expression. Heavy makeup can suppress this depth, making the face appear more tired, harsher, and older than it is. Minimalist makeup, on the other hand, cleverly reveals the skin's own texture. This allows the person to achieve a look that is both fresher and more timeless. The less is more principle of modern aesthetic understanding creates the strongest effect, especially on mature skin. Furthermore, the most important step in this type of makeup routine is to even out the skin texture rather than completely covering it. A light moisturizer, a tinted sunscreen, or a very thin foundation provides a natural glow without masking the skin. The fine lines on the faces of mature women are actually traces of the elegance that comes with age. Minimalist makeup aims to soften these traces and make them look more harmonious rather than trying to hide them. This gives the skin a natural yet refined glow. Of course, let's not forget that minimalism also has a big impact on eye makeup. Heavy eyeshadows and thick eyeliner lines can weigh down the structure of the eyelids, creating an older appearance. However, accentuating the eye socket with a light coffee tone or enhancing the lashes with a thin mascara adds both youthfulness and simplicity to the look. Highlighting the eye's natural radiance rather than over-accentuating them yields a more effective result. This creates a rested and serene facial expression in mature women. Additionally, another powerful aspect of minimalist makeup is that it shapes the facial features in a natural way. Excessive contouring can make the face appear harsher and more artificial. However, a light touch of bronzer or a subtle application of blush highlights the face's own bone structure, creating a much more natural freshness. Light touches, especially on the upper points of the cheeks, create an optical youth effect that makes the face appear lifted. This small but effective detail is one of the most elegant results of a makeup routine. 10. Choosing a haircut that suits our facial features. Essentially, choosing a haircut that suits your facial features is one of the strategic touches that makes the biggest difference in beauty as we age. This is because hair is the natural frame of the face, and correctly defining this frame makes the entire expression appear younger, more balanced, and more dynamic. Wrong cuts can make the face appear harsher, longer, or more tired, while the right cut can change this perception in one fell swoop. Aesthetic experts particularly emphasize that one of the most defining elements of youth in mature women is the harmony between the hair and the face. Of course, it is also true that as facial features change with age, the haircut cannot be the same as the preferences of one's youth. This awareness is very valuable, especially when the jawline softens or the cheek area loses a little volume. Hair falling to the sides of the face creates a natural support line. This redefines the contours of the face and provides a fuller look. This optical balancing effect is too powerful to be achieved with makeup or skincare because hair directly regulates the geometry of the face. Furthermore, the texture of the hair is also an important factor in determining the cut. Thinner hair strands tend to lose volume with age. Therefore, very long cuts can increase the weight of the hair, making the crown area appear flatter. Light layers, on the other hand, add volume and enhance the movement of the hair, making the face appear more vibrant. This movement even adds energy to a person's gait and gestures, creating a subtle dynamism that evokes a sense of youthfulness in the observer. Of course, the right haircut highlights the strong features of the face, while elegantly distracting from any distracting points. For example, softening a receding hairline with light bangs, using side layers that accentuate the cheekbones, or opting for cuts that narrow the jawline are all small but effective strategies. These types of cuts offer a more harmonious and balanced frame without completely altering the face. Thus, beauty is enhanced through a completely natural look. Ultimately, a haircut that suits the facial features becomes a signature that reflects the woman's own energy. Hair represents not only appearance but also the woman's posture, attitude, and way of looking at herself. When the right cut is chosen, a woman not only feels better about herself but also projects a simpler, more balanced, and more aesthetic aura to those around her. Therefore, I would say that consciously choosing a haircut is one of the most effective ways not only to preserve beauty as we age, but also to make it even more visible. 11. Being able to do light exercises that keep the body toned. Actually, the first thing that comes to mind in this section is that light exercises that keep the body toned are one of the fundamental habits that make a dramatic difference in beauty as we age. This is because muscle tissue naturally decreases with age, and this decrease affects not only strength but also the body's overall form and silhouette. Light but regular exercise, walking, Pilates, short stretching routines, or low-weight training supports muscle tone, making the body look firmer, more balanced, and younger. This difference is particularly noticeable in the arms, abdominal area, and back line. Furthermore, the greatest advantage of light exercise is that it is sustainable. While intense sports may yield results in the short term, they are more likely to cause fatigue and abandonment in the long term. Light exercise, on the other hand, offers a more graceful shaping by increasing flexibility without overburdening the body. As we age, it becomes even more important to protect our joints, avoid unnecessary strain on our muscles, and safely increase our range of motion. Therefore, light exercise provides an ideal balance in terms of both health and aesthetic appearance. Of course, there is also the fact that this type of exercise not only improves muscle tone, but also strengthens posture. When the muscle groups around the spine are exercised regularly, the back straightens, the shoulders open up, and the body's center of gravity moves to a more balanced position. This change in posture creates a powerful optical effect of youth that even affects facial expression, because a straight posture automatically makes a woman appear more energetic, slimmer, and more confident. Light exercise makes this posture natural, forming the basis of an aesthetic appearance. In addition, light exercise regulates metabolism and improves circulation. Increased blood flow accelerates skin oxygenation and cellular renewal. This process makes the skin tissue, especially in the leg and arm areas, appear smoother. The sagging effects commonly seen with age can be significantly slowed down with regular light exercise. This is not only a physical gain, it is also an empowering process that allows women to reconnect with their bodies. 12. Stay away from unnecessary arguments. The fact is that avoiding unnecessary arguments reveals a level of consciousness that significantly affects our facial expressions and overall perception of beauty, especially in the times we live in. Unfortunately, arguments, especially when they are unsolvable or emotionally intense, leave subtle but lasting tension on our faces. Now, frequently furrowing our brows, clenching our jawline, or those micro-expressions around our lips cause our face to look much more tired and aged over time. So, for a mature woman, avoiding this kind of energy drain is essentially a huge advantage, even in aesthetic terms, because, as you can appreciate, the face then takes on a youthful appearance. Furthermore, the emotional impact of arguments is not limited to facial expressions. It also leaves its mark on hormone balance. In other words, unnecessary conflicts raise cortisol levels and significantly reduce our skin's ability to regenerate. Naturally, this accelerates signs of aging such as dullness, uneven skin tone, and even more pronounced wrinkles. On the other hand, a lifestyle free from conflict brings mental clarity and emotional balance. This balance directly reflects on skin quality and makes our face look much brighter, more relaxed, and fresher. So, let's not forget that one of the things that most enhances a woman's beauty is definitely this inner peace. As a very brief summary of the 12 points I discussed in this video, I can tell you that all these habits remind us that beauty is not just about outward appearance. On the contrary, it is a natural result of the care a woman shows for her body, mind, and especially her soul. Of course, as we age, instead of diminishing our light, we can direct it more consciously and truly rejuvenate both our silhouette and our energy with small but determined choices. In other words, these rituals that complete elegance undoubtedly act as an anchor that quietly transforms us, from our posture to our gaze, from the radiance of our skin to the refinement of our behavior. In short, true beauty no longer lies in youth. It shines in women who take care of themselves, protect their boundaries, and consciously shape their very existence. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care of yourself, and see you in the next video. Remember that women are the ones with the power to change the world. boldly forge your own path and savor every moment.